Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Marketing Meatball Mafia. I'm Christina Sarge.
And I'm Allison Micheletti. If you've been tuning in to our podcast over the first season, you'll notice a recurring theme of the importance of call tracking and, more importantly, call conversion. Some of the guests we've had previously included call coach Genevieve Poppy, Joe Ciccarillo from Local Med, who've all provided some really great tips and resources to help increase call conversion, and even provided us some software tools on ways that dentists can now implement some things like online scheduling where you don't even need to really pick up the phone. So today we have yet another industry expert who is here to talk to us about the importance of the phone and share some really cool and neat things that are available to dental practices. So without further ado, join us in welcoming Danny Laneri from Weave. Hey, Danny.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, of course. So I know that personally you and I go back a couple of years, probably from when I first got started in dentistry about 8 years ago. We probably have seen each other on numerous trade shows. But for the people who don't know as much about you as I do, can you go ahead and take a couple of minutes and just tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in dentistry?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, funny enough, I was slated to become a dentist myself years ago. I had applied to dental school and then decided to get exposure to the business side of dentistry nearly 10 years ago now. And I started with a patient communication company that was the first to send the text message to confirm appointment reminders, to confirm an appointment in dentistry, and then grew out the set of features. And so I started working in the industry with product, software, key opinion leaders, consulting groups, and really just gained an idea of the landscape and some of the gaps and the changes that were taking place in communication. And I've been with Weave since February of 2019, and we are continuing to bring things to the market that fill gaps and solve problems for dental offices.
Awesome. Fantastic. There's a little bit of a fun fact for people that is incredibly relevant to our conversation today is if you ever see Danny at a trade show or at an event, you should probably look at his shoes because he always has really cool shoes or fun colored laces. It's something that I've noticed through the couple of times we've run into each other. So again, incredibly crucial to today's conversation.
Yes, it is. You can tell a lot about a person by their shoes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. So, Danny, you've been working, like you said, in the dental industry for some time over the past decade, generating partnerships, and you've worked very closely with different national speakers and companies who are also on the cutting edge of technology to help dental practices adapt to the rapid, ever-changing pace of practice management softwares, or just the way that patients want to communicate and schedule their appointments. Can you tell us a little bit more about the functions of Weave? I know that one of our biggest challenges with marketing is the conversion, and meaning by that is that the calls come in, we see that they're not answered or that they're going to voicemail, and it's that when we confront the office about it, try to have a conversation to make that better, it's, they'll just leave a message. And we find that your software helps them to have a very visual reminder if that's a current patient or if that's a new patient opportunity they could be missing out on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said it best. Offices are spending a lot of money to get patients to call in or to engage with the practice. And oftentimes to pick up the phone, that can even come at the expense of a conversation that they're in at the front desk. They're forced, if the phone is ringing, they can either tell a patient that's there in person to hold, or they can drop the call. And right now, what we're noticing is that fewer and fewer patients are actually leaving voicemails. So if they are missing calls and they were lucky enough to have somebody respond to a campaign and they're not able to pick up the call, oftentimes that patient will just continue scrolling through Google or search online for the next office that will pick up the phone. So what Weave does, we have two avenues that we're able to help there. One is we're actually calling each unique we're tracking each unique phone number that is coming in for the office. So if they launched an Invisalign campaign and an individual is calling in a dummy phone number or a marketing phone number from that campaign, we will actually track the calls that are coming into each unique phone number and then ping their system to determine whether it's an existing patient of record or perhaps a new patient calling in. Now, if they're not able to pick up the phone, we've built in very recently a safety net that offices are raving about. And if you look at it, it's saving them or making them thousands and thousands of dollars, because we now send out an automated missed call text. 5 seconds after an office misses a call, they will receive an automated text from that office phone number saying, "Hi, this is Danny with Alpine Dental. I'm so sorry we missed your call. We're with another patient right now. We'll call you back shortly. In the meantime, is there anything I can help you with?" That patient is actually able to text back right there, and perhaps one of the 5 workstations in the office sees that chat pop in, and it's a patient inquiring about a full mouth restoration, and they're able to actually just converse right there through text message and engage that patient. So that's saving them marketing losses, if you will, if they're spending on campaign and letting that fall through with missed calls. But then at the same time, we can track and give them real data on the number of calls that are coming into those unique phone numbers and who's answering those calls, how many missed calls, when those missed calls are taking place. And they can perhaps readjust staffing or make different changes within the office to accommodate for that data.
I think that's huge. It's huge because there are a couple of things you've said are definitely resonating with me. I'm sure with you as well, Christina. Is the first thing you said is when patients call a practice and they get the voicemail, practices are assuming, well, they'll just leave a message and we'll call them back. And we also use call tracking on all of the marketing pieces that we put out there. And absolutely, I would say, 95% of the time, or some higher percentage around that number, people are not leaving a message at all. And you're right, probably continue to scroll down the Google results and look for the next guy. The second thing is I actually just had this conversation with a practice yesterday where we were discussing the high number of missed calls that they've had. And they said, well, how do you suggest we fix that? Like, how do we know that we're missing these phone calls? And you just presented us with a solid solution for that. You get notified immediately. That's definitely a thing that I think has been missing in the catchphrase, the marketing funnel, so to speak, is how to recapture some of those leads that you're paying money for but aren't able to capture right away through their initial phone call. So awesome for providing that need. It's an absolute a need for practices everywhere, at least as far as we can tell.
Oh, absolutely. And I know we were talking a little bit earlier before we got started today, Danny, that I have a practice that their whole reason they're looking to implement Weave is the front office staff member, while she's fantastic and people even leave reviews mentioning her by name multiple times on Google. So she's definitely a staple within the practice. We see very clearly through call tracking that a lot of the investment to make the phone ring is going unanswered. And we see that voicemail hang up result a lot for this particular practice. And when I talk about it with the dentist, she tries to talk to the team member, but that team member is very focused on who's in front of her and feels it's going to take away from their experience if she tells them, like, hey, can you hold on a second or just pardon me a second while I answer this phone call? But I like the idea that if that call is missed, that they're going to be communicated with via text, because there are some other front office members that might not be tasked with answering the phone, but they certainly have a computer right in front of them that they could respond to the text message if that person did chat back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Allison, like you said, really the number that I present at, this year, maybe 10, 15 different trade shows or continuing education courses. And the number that we're using internally and that I'm often saying is that 97% of patients are not leaving a voicemail. Especially if it's a Google search scenario, they're literally just searching. And if your 5-star reviews are you're lucky enough to pop up the top search, the patient calls, and if you don't pick that phone up, they will literally continue down the list.
Yep.
So this is a great safety net because, Christina, like you said, you don't want to abandon those face-to-face conversations in office when you're actually building rapport and engaging with a patient, but knowing this safety net is there and that other team members can communicate is really a big peace of mind for offices.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think it also it kind of plays into patients' desires a little bit, where people are a little bit more reluctant to call in the first place. Right. Nowadays, at least it seems. So providing them a text option seems like a little bit more comfortable, number one. And number two, it shows a level of customer service that they might not get anywhere else. People are very used to people not answering the phone and then, again, just moving on to the next guy. But they immediately get a text message from this practice saying, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? Mm-hmm. That's a whole other level of customer service that they are not used to, usually typically with especially a dental office in my experience. So.
And we have such a need for immediate gratification that when we don't get that answer on the other end, hang up, call the next person, because in that moment, we want to take care of this task. We want to check this chore of scheduling our dental appointment off the list. So we just want to get it done. We don't want to leave a message.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mm-hmm. And in terms of, you mentioned the preferences, patients really with Weave, you're able to text in for an initial conversation, removing the phone call scenario altogether.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, if you search somebody on Google, it's literally call or text us here, and you can send a text message in and engage in a conversation. And I know for myself, I've wished so many times that I could text into my medical, dental, what have you. They're not using Weave. I need to work on that. But it's really frustrating to have to call and sit on hold or reach a voicemail or what have you. But text opens up a whole new potential.
Right.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's kind of the way of the world nowadays. The millennials are growing up, and that's their preferred method of communication. Something. And pretty soon, if they're not already, they're going to be the patients that people want in the door, because they're going to very quickly or soon need some of those more advanced treatments. It's just kind of get ahead of the game now, in my opinion. But.
So, Danny, when you say you can call or text to schedule and you could put that on the Google business listing, would we be able to use that widget on the website, landing pages, really anywhere, if they can click that button to text?
Absolutely. The nice thing is when we port an office's phone number, we now, being a voice over IP phone system, that number is text capable. So essentially, if somebody texted or called or outbounded with that number, you can either outbound with text or with a call, and it will all come from the office phone number. So anywhere that office phone number is linked, you have a text capability.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Great question. I didn't know that.
Well, I just think it'd be great to be able to track, because we're all about tracking everything.
Yeah.
It'd be great to be able to track, these text messages came from the website, these ones came from Google, these ones came from a landing page. Because our offices always want to know or have the information quantified for how well a campaign is
right.
working.
If you just kind of lump it all together, like here's how your marketing is performing, it doesn't, it helps, but it doesn't break it down into a granular level of, where is my money actually going?
Right.
So, which this could certainly help.
Awesome. Now, with that number too, can they just put it right into their phone and start texting?
No, when you say put the number right into their phone, do you mean the patient's number?
So if I were the patient and some of our clients live in areas where traditional mediums still work really well, like print advertising, postcards, and if it said call or text to make your appointment today and it was a phone number, could I just get out my cell phone number, put in the number, and text?
Absolutely. That's actually awesome. Once the number is ported over and live, it's literally, you can save that as a contact in your cell phone as Alpine Dental, and that number is both text and call enabled.
Perfect.
That's awesome. All right, so I feel like we're getting wrapped up with how awesome the text feature is. Because I'm thinking I want Larry to have this now, so we could just text him. But Larry is using Weave now. He's
Well, now you should start
Yeah.
texting him.
Yeah,
for
I
your,
will text
all your
him.
whitening appointments and Botox and stuff.
Yeah. I'm coming in. But there are some other features that Weave is now able to do. And I know for a lot of our clients that integrate Weave, then they abandon some of the more traditional companies, like the one you used to work for patient communication. And we just had a little demo again with one of your reps on how we could even bring over some of our other campaigns, like review requests, email campaigns, things that we traditionally would need to have multiple different softwares in order to do each of these things.
Right. Yeah, the big concept around Weave right now is that offices are paying too many different companies to do ancillary things. And so our recent tagline is the complete practice toolbox. And essentially it's an integrated customer communication or an integrated patient communication platform, taking 4 or 5 ancillary services and wrapping that all into one around the phone. And so like you said, reviews is something that lives right in our platform, and you're able to invite patients who have had a positive experience directly through text message. You can either automate that or you can send it out manually and get third-party review sites for your Google, Facebook, Yelp, Health Grades. And then we also have a monitor that shows as reviews are coming in, who those reviews came from and what the patients are saying, what source it came from. And so essentially we're giving you an overall review score and a health in terms of feedback for your practice. But that's one of the additional services that's wrapped into Weave.
Awesome.
So when you say that you provide them the opportunity to go to third-party review sites like Google or Facebook, the big ones, is there also like a secondary landing page where, let's say somebody doesn't have a Facebook account or a Google account, are they kind of stuck, or can the practice still get some sort of feedback from those patients?
So as far as that goes, basically when they're sent the text invitation, it says, would you like to leave a review on Google? If they're logged into a Google account, it will take them directly there. They can click choose another site, and that would take them to Facebook or Yelp or Health Grades. And if not, if they would just like to leave feedback, then there is a feedback section as well that would go to the practice, and they can utilize that.
Great.
So to clarify, the primary source that we're pushing them to is Google, because that is the big one that everybody cares most about. So they don't have to do any extra steps. It's going to go right onto Google and not get stuck anywhere.
Exactly. That's the thing, Allison, to your question is, if they don't use Google or Facebook or Yelp or Health Grades, is there another landing page? What we've found for offices is that what they need are those direct reviews to the third-party sites. And so we don't host a separate landing page. Other companies have various sites that they have there. But our goal is to literally boost their search rankings through online reviews and allowing patients to skip additional steps if they participate with Google, Yelp, Health Grades, Facebook, and those. So
fantastic.
That's awesome.
That pleases me. That was kind of the answer I was hoping for. Because those are the money sites. That's where people are able to see these reviews publicly. They're not hidden anywhere. That's where the real value is. So
absolutely. Well, I find, and I'm sure you do too in conversations, that many clients, they don't want to pay multiple companies for overlapping services. And they'll say, well, I already have this patient communication software and I can send review requests for that. And we have to tell them that not all platforms are created equal. And there are some that are by far better than others. And while it is nice to still have an option if they don't have Google or Facebook, I mean, we find that it's really rare, to be honest, that a patient is not going to have either a Google or a Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, both my grandmas who are in their late 80s have Facebook. So
absolutely.
Gmail is also king as well. So
well, that's and I'm not sure if you get this question, Danny, of people, like maybe if you ask, well, how are you currently asking for reviews? And a dental practice says, well, we find people who have a Gmail account, and those are the ones we ask for a Google review. And I think one of the common misconceptions out there is that they have to have an email that ends in @gmail.com for it to be a Google account.
Right.
And that is not necessarily true. Like my work email is a Google account, but it does not end in @gmail.com. So I think that's an important distinction for people to know, if that's kind of the rule of thumb that you're relying on to figure out who to ask for a review. You could be severely limiting how many review requests you're sending out there in the world. And as we all know, and Danny, I'm sure you know as well, it takes volume. You have to ask a whole lot in order to get a couple on the other end. So I think that's awesome that your system can detect, if they're logged into Google or if they have a Google account, then that's where, they would want them to leave that review.
Right. And we love the automated option as well.
Yes.
I mean, we find just from the volume of clients that we work with over the years that if you have an automated versus a manual, the automated will win absolutely every time, because it's not that we can appreciate wanting to ask each individual patient for a review, and we're sure that many of our offices do that. It just becomes part of their natural conversation that, we really appreciate, oh, you said such some nice things today, we'd really appreciate a review. But then the follow-up of actually sending through that review request just doesn't happen, because they're on to the next thing. They've got the next patient in the chair, or they're checking the next patient in, or answering the phone. But having the automation so that we get every patient every time just ensures that we'll have that volume there later. Right. And then we always say, we know with Weave, you can log in. And so for whatever reason, I'm just a real peach when I come into the practice and you don't want to invite me into your world any longer, you could always go in and say, please don't send Christina Sarge a review. We don't need that. So that practices, they do have a fear of, well, we can't make everybody happy. And what if we request one from a patient we know is not happy?
Yeah, one thing that has happened recently is, as you likely know, is that Google has changed their scenario so they're no longer gated reviews. You can no longer send out how satisfied were you with your visit today, 1 through 5, and the 5 stars, they then solicit a review, and then the 2 and 3 stars are pushed off into a place where no one will see that but the practice. And so that is a risk that an automated scenario might take if they're not updating or removing the peaches, if you will. But on the flip side, we have seen that a little bit, essentially it's an authentic response scenario where you will have some patients who are a little less than satisfied with their visits. And what we think is that by having, with our monitoring, you're able to see those, and you can actually reach out to those individual patients because we're tracking those as they come in. If you see that somebody left you a 1 star because they sat in the waiting room for 30 minutes after their appointment time, and then when they were in the operatory, another 40 minutes waiting on office because they were a little disheveled that day, responding to those and even addressing some of those negative reviews, even if they do come through, that beats even practices that you're going to see and all you see is 5 stars, everything is perfect all the time, and there's not even one patient that has something other than, oh, this is the best dental office ever, and it looks staged almost. So
yeah, it's almost too good to be true. We're right there with you. It's okay. It's okay to get not a 5-star review. It's okay.
And I know too, like one of the perks about having automated is like you said, it drives authenticity. And I've also found with some of the other softwares that are out there, and we have one ourselves, we just honestly, I've not sold it in ages, but the ones where you have to put in the manual request, some of the competitors to your product out there, I would say, they encourage the coaching on the review because they want reviews about certain topics. And I feel that people are smart, and when they're going through your practice and they're reading the reviews and they're talking about things that most people wouldn't know to talk about, just because to make conversation, people can think that they're manufactured. They're like, this doesn't seem legit.
Real. Do your review requests get sent out immediately after the appointment? Will they expect a patient's expect a text message?
So you have some different parameters that you can choose there. Let's say it's if an appointment is marked kept in Dentrix, that the review request will go out immediately after an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, next day, what have you. You have some different options there. But
Cool.
essentially we encourage, like with our manual scenarios, it's if somebody is on their way out the front desk and they had a wonderful experience trying to get that out immediately, it would be within a close time frame of their most recent appointment so that it's height of interest for the patient and they're still riding that high after the full mouth restoration.
Perfect.
Awesome. I know that there are some new features. Like I was saying that I had, my team and I had gotten on a call to just learn more about some of the other new features that Weave has. Can you give a little sneak peek on some of the newer things that are being implemented, some of the things that are in beta right now that'll be coming soon?
Yeah, because I missed that call, so I don't know what she's talking about.
Okay. Yeah, so in terms of new features, basically we are very rapidly offering offices the ability to text balance reminders and convert those into paid balances through mobile. So
Awesome.
that means when a patient calls in, now in the Weave screen pop, we not only show last appointment kept, insurance type, remaining benefits, but we also show a balance due. So that if I'm on the phone with an office and I've got a $50 balance, that front desk could just say, hey, Danny, I see you've got a $50 balance here. I'm going to send you a quick text message. You can click on that hyperlink and actually zero out your balance. It will take all your credit card information in a secure portal and you can zero that balance out right there. One other thing is we're also sending payment terminals out to the office so that they can transact with their patients right there. They can pull up in Weave and write in a balance due, whether the insurance is already cleared and they need a certain small amount or they're paying in full right then and there. We actually have payment terminals that will sync with those reminders as well. So
That's great.
Payments is something that we're looking into. In terms of sneak peek, we are really heavily looking to have patient forms and patient intake options through mobile and things that will write in and sync with the practice management software as well. As we try to bring all of these contemporary communication preferences, it's gone are the days where patients want to come in and sit down in silence for 15 minutes with a paper clipboard,
right?
Fill out patient forms and things like that. And so we are advancing that way as well. And then as far as electronic newslettering, we now have the ability to drag and drop PDFs to create electronic newsletters and then group that with age groups and male, female, and different things so that you can send out newsletters. And we will be beefing that up from a marketing perspective and moving that toward campaigns and different things in the future. But yeah, we're really beefing up our bread and butter around the appointment reminders, recare, the missed call text, payment reminders and payment processing, and the phone analytics and things that way. But in terms of new features, we do have some exciting stuff coming, even some things I'm not able to speak to quite yet.
Well, when we had our call, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, if not, we can edit it out, but Zanya's husband, Larry, we do try a lot of things with, and he does have Weave. We are going to be setting up some reactivation campaigns using Weave, both email and text message. And it's going to take some work on our end as far as pulling some lists, uploading them into Weave. But we're really excited to see how that pans out going forward.
Absolutely. You're 100% able to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really, as we continue to try to bring all of these feature sets and wrap them all around the phone, it's some of the things that we do currently will get better and continue to try to solve additional problems. But then there are also, speaking to that model of ancillary services doing one thing for the office with feature overlap and all of that, we're trying to bring Weave into a place where we can solve all of those, and it's in one platform that's intuitive and simple, easy to use. If you can use a smartphone, you can use Weave. And that's that's really the whole concept.
Right.
I think that's an incredible kind of goal for you guys, because it's certainly needed. You know, we all work with dentists and dental practices, and we hear the same things where you're right. They're working with this guy on this and this guy on that and this person on this, and it's all over the place. So the more we can centralize it, the better. To speak on your point of patient forms of something you guys working on, that is a huge need that we find all the time, that people want the online forms that patients can fill out that syncs directly with the practice management system. So thank you for that, because we get asked about it all the time. And then if you guys are working on maybe some drip style campaigns with the patient communication software stuff, I would love to know when and if that comes out, because I think we could do some really cool things with that and really help practices kind of further foster some leads that might not be ready to commit to some dentistry. I think there is a need for that. And I would love it if you do that, just tell me.
That's what Brett and I are testing.
Okay,
yeah.
Tell me how it goes.
Yeah, is to upload from certain employers. We're going to do that drip through Weave, and then also some treatment reactivation. So if somebody came in and it's a no-brainer to do the reactivation if they haven't been in for a hygiene visit in the past 6 months.
Right.
But we're more concerned about, okay, you spent time with them, you did a treatment plan, you have diagnosed an implant or a full mouth restoration, and setting them up for a drip as well.
Especially those higher dollar cases. It's, sometimes like an all-on-4, for example, is not a slam dunk. That person needs a couple of touch points to be convinced to spend, 20, 30, 40 upwards $1,000.
And I love the fact that, knowing that Weave has this two-way text, that in that automated communication that's touching that patient that we're following up on that all-on-4 full mouth restoration case, that right in the email we could say, if there's an offer, something for them to take advantage, click to text if you'd like to talk about this now or for more information. So again, it's not as as committed as picking up the phone and scheduling or clicking that click to schedule button. But if I can just chat a little bit right now, I'm not yet committed, but it gives the opportunity to, it is a little bit of a sales skill of knowing that person's clicking through that email communication and continuing to foster them so that they'll go ahead and schedule that.
It's really low barrier, and I think that's something that your tools do, is you make it not scary for people to ask questions that might feel a little vulnerable.
Definitely. And speaking to new features and even something that will help drive this type of communication, we actually have very recently dropped a light analytics, a practice analytics platform. And it's built into our platform, but it's an option right now for our Dentrix users and Open Dental, and very shortly it will be live with Patterson or EagleSoft. But speaking to those numbers of, how many active patients do we have? How many of those remain unscheduled? How many new patients did we have last week? And how many of them are actually on the appointments with a rescheduled opportunity? What was our restoration casework presented versus casework accepted versus casework treated? We actually have all of that data. We built out, we didn't want to scare practices with all of these reports and numbers, but we took the top 7 KPIs for offices that, like I've already mentioned a few of them. New patients. How many of those new patients, if you had 15 patients last week and 6 of them remain unscheduled, we've actually made it possible. You can just click on that number 6. There's a red line next to those 6 patients. And when you click on those patients, you're connected to their data. So you're saving all that time searching this information down and then looking it up. And then with the click to dial or a click to text, you're also saving that 30 seconds, manually entering information, searching it in the practice management software. And we can also use some of this data with our analytics feature to build some reports or some reactivation campaigns, or, it's an exciting time at Weave this way, because it's really getting down to what are offices using and what will they use, and how can we make it easy for them to use. And really the utilization on these things, it's just like people are in their smartphone because it's so intuitive and it's really very simple for them to get going.
Well, and people like us, you just make our little ears perk up because we preach this stuff all the time. Where there was another guest we had, I don't remember who it was off the top of my head, where we talked about the importance of keeping patients in your practice. Sometimes your marketing is not all about new patients, or at least it shouldn't be all about new patients. Like if we're bringing them in, we're spending all this money to bring them in, and they're just leaving right out the back, what good is it? You're going to stay flat. You're never going to grow. Right. So providing them with some sort of easy to use tool like this just makes my little marketing heart happy.
Absolutely. Got to fill the holes in the bucket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
For sure. You guys got some smart people out there in Utah. It's like the dental tech capital of the world, been building all these cool little softwares and neat technology. You guys got a pretty smart group out there, I'm sure.
Must be something in the water. I don't know.
It's got to be something.
It's all the snow, the mountains.
The snow, the Salt Lake. That's Utah, right?
Yes, it is.
Geography was not my thing. So
I'm like, I need maps.
give me a map. I don't know.
Is there anything we forgot to mention? Anything that we didn't touch on as far as the cool things Weave has to offer?
Let's see here. We've talked about the phones, the phone analytics, some of the new features coming, the missed call, text, online reviews. I think one thing that would be useful to touch on is just that topic, Allison, that you just brought up of keeping patients in your practice and building that experience. And essentially, you can turn the hose on and fill that bucket up from the top, and i.e. your marketing spend. But the really important thing is to focus on keeping those patients in the practice. Yep. Another thing that I speak to, and a lot of times when I'm presenting, is that a recent survey is that patients are leaving practices with attitudes of indifference. And that means that they either did not feel a connection, they didn't feel that it was smooth or streamlined to deal with that practice, or just didn't have a reason to stick around. And so a lot of these features and this communication that Weave powers, it's really geared toward personalized, convenient communication for both the patient and the practice. So if I'm responding to a Weave appointment confirmation, I can actually respond with a thumbs up emoji, and that is viewed as a positive response, and it's read by our practice management softwares, and it will actually automatically confirm in the software. Whereas with a lot of other services that are a little more antiquated, you have to properly respond with a C or a yes or confirm.
Capital Y, little one doesn't work.
Exactly. So if you write, yep, I'll be there, or yep, or a thumbs up emoji, or a yes, or what have you, that's good enough in Weave. If a Weave birthday message goes out, we actually don't send it's not a 5-digit short code with some wonky message coming to the patient. It's literally, it looks like they took the time to write with a smartphone or what have you, hey, just reaching out to say happy birthday. Thank you so much for being a patient. It comes directly from the office phone number. Mm-hmm. The payment options, all of these things, even the initial phone call, when somebody's calling into a practice, we have a place where you can keep non-clinical notes to say, oh, Danny and his family went to Hawaii last week, or he just had a new child in July. You can engage with these patients from the moment that they call in. It's no longer, are you a patient of record? Could you spell your last name for me? When was the last time we came in? Who's your insurance provider? Now all of that information is right in front of them, and they can properly engage and give those patients a reason to stick around because they make them feel like family. Automation and being automated worked for a large portion of this last decade, but I think people no longer want to feel automated. If we open up our emails, there are 50 different marketing campaigns or those short digit codes for text messaging. we're moving back toward personalization and relationships and feeling like family. And Weave software is designed to be easy to use for the practice, but it also is easy for the patient to communicate with the practice. And they really do feel that. And that allows them to stay put a lot longer when it's easy to communicate and it feels like family.
Yeah.
So that was just one thing that came to mind as we brought that up.
Well, I think that's a really great kind of all-encompassing way to explain to you guys that even though you're high tech and this is smart software, this is again really incredible stuff, does not make it sterile. It doesn't make it feel high tech. It actually does quite the opposite. It makes it feel incredibly personal. Which is what we hear a lot of our dentists say, like, tell us a little bit about your practice. And, oh, we're really high tech, but we're also high touch. And I think that's really kind of what you guys capture from the business side.
Absolutely. And Christina, I just thought of one more thing I need to bring up. And that is our doctor mobile app. In terms of this patient relationship and really that personalized communication, offices, I don't think I've run into a doctor yet this year that says he doesn't do some sort of follow-up with his patient, or somebody in his practice is not following up either with all new patients or big cases or what have you at the end of the day on the commute home or what have you after hours. But we actually have a mobile application that allows practices to run their phones from their mobile device wherever they are. And this gives schedule access. So if I am a doctor and I had 5 new patients and 3 big cases, I can actually click on my cell phone in my Weave mobile app, access my schedule. It's broken down by operatory, by different providers, and I can click right there on that patient. I'm tied to his data, and I can click to call, and when that call goes out, it's actually from the office phone number. Or I can send a text message saying, thank you so much for trusting us with your business. We're excited to have you as a new patient in our practice. That will come from the office phone number at 7 p.m. while I'm on, in traffic on the commute home at standstill. But that patient really, they're receiving that in the palm of hand in their mobile device while they're relaxing at home thinking, oh, wow, they're still working today or what have you.
Right.
It's just that personal feel. So, if it's a snow day, and you're unable to make it into the office, you can forward all the office phone calls to a mobile device and click on that schedule and send out a message that's very conversational, if you will. Hey, this is Dr. So-and-so. Unfortunately, we've run into some weather. We won't be opening the doors today. If you have any emergencies, feel free to call. We're available all day. It really is high touch, high feel, but it's high tech and contemporary. Right. So it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. So we know that a lot of times our doctors engage with new technology, new apps while they're at some of the dental shows that are going to be coming up. Are there any ones in the first quarter of the year that we will be at that they should look out for?
Well, the answer is absolutely. Last year, we actually covered a little over 300 dental events. I was on a spreadsheet yesterday auditing all of the different events and what we'll be looking to do in this coming year. But speaking to Q1, we always have the staples in the Yankee, Midwinter. There are a few other continuing education courses, Jumpstart with Vanessa Emerson. Not that that's a large dental office, but as far as key opinion leaders and consultants and things, we'll be there in Q1. I would say if I had to guess, it would average out to 1 event a day in terms of dentistry as a whole. So we'll be out there. We will see you.
So more often than not, we will be at the event you're going to.
For sure. Sounds like it.
It's likely, yes.
So if for whatever odd reason it sounds like you wouldn't be at an event that somebody's going to in the first quarter, how can they reach out and find out some more information about Weave or get a demo?
Well, first and foremost on this podcast, I'd love to just offer my personal information if offices have questions, or even, if it's a Weave customer and I can help them in any way. My email is Danny, DANNY.Laneri, LANERI @getweave.com. They're free to email me. And then we have getweave.com as a resource. If they're interested in learning more, there's just a simple icon up top. They can click for a demo. They can reach out to me personally. I mean, I don't know what information you'll share with this podcast. They're free to reach out to me on my cell phone as well.
We can share all of that in the information about, like, the little blip about this episode, and in your bio, we can share all that information. So if they want, and we really appreciate you letting them reach out to you directly. Yeah. So we'll put all that information right in with this episode. Absolutely. Just in respect for the relationship I have with you two and people in the country and dentistry as a whole, if they hear about us here and we're able to listen to the entire conversation, they're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I can piece them together with whomever inside of Weave and just make sure that they have the right experience. Because that's, just like we're trying to plug those holes in dental offices, we want to create a tagline for Weave is people, not customers. And so want to really make the experience enjoyable communicating with us. Just like we have a smartphone for the practice, they can reach out, they can text or call me, email me, whatever they prefer. But I want it to be enjoyable and just make sure that it's smooth and streamlined.
Fantastic. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, we really appreciate you joining us. It was really nice to catch up since it sounds like neither one of us are on the road too much anymore. This was really great to see you and chat a little bit. If you are liking what you're hearing here, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, visit us on our website, marketingmeatballmafia.com, or go ahead and give us a quick like on Facebook.
This episode of the Marketing Meatball Mafia podcast is brought to you by Golden Proportions Marketing.